Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rockhound Talk Live. My name is Ben Chorn, and I am going to be your host tonight. Amber is not feeling too well tonight, and so I am going to be taking this on solo. So we are still going to have an intro. Sorry for the late start. We had some technical difficulties. Facebook is not liking our streaming service that we have been using. So we are working through that, and I'm here now. So if you are watching, please leave a comment that says where you're watching from. We do usually do kind of like a back and forth, what's going on. As for me right now, the big thing is this coming weekend, the Minnesota Mineral Club is doing their annual show. If you're not in the Minnesota area, I would encourage you to try to find a mineral club in your area. I believe every single mineral club will have an annual show. So if you want to just check out what mineral clubs are all about, try to find one in your area. The American Federation of Mineralogical Societies, or AFMS, has a list of all the different states and different mineral clubs in each state. So make sure to go ahead and look at that. If you are in the Minnesota area and you want to head down to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, the Minnesota Mineral Club will have their annual show at the Dairy Building all day on Saturday and Sunday. I will actually be there all day volunteering both days. I do also have a fluorescent display. If anyone is interested in fluorescent minerals, I've got a display at the show as well. Looking through, hi Vicky, hi Joe, hi Stacy. Yes, hi to Joe in Pennsylvania. Yes, Vicky, this is a Sterling Hill shirt. Sterling Hill Mining Museum. It says a mine is a terrible thing to waste. The New Jersey UV next that show this weekend. I'm not sure when that show is. If you are interested in UV minerals, I do know in about a month, usually it's right around Halloween because it's spooky, glowy minerals. There is Ultraviolation, which is a fluorescent only mineral show, which is really cool. Everyone gets UV safety glasses when they come in. The lights go on and off, and the UV lights go on and off, so you get to see all that. So if you're interested in fluorescent minerals, check out the UV Violation show. Oh, you're going there for the first time. Well, definitely Sterling Hill is really cool. So is the Franklin Mineral Museum. I recommend anyone that's going to be going to one to just go to both because they're absolutely amazing. If you do ever get the chance to go to Franklin for one of the night digs, that is extremely cool. I was able to do that earlier this summer, and to be able to hunt fluorescent rocks in like an acre of just everything glowing at night is really, really cool. Yeah, so the one thing I was going to mention, I actually had this as a topic to discuss on one of the previous intros, and we actually didn't get to it at that time. There was an article that came out back in August about coprolites. So if you don't know coprolite, it's fossilized dinosaur poop, and they had found a discovery that that it's looking like it is the let me just read it so that I don't say it wrong. It was a record of the first record of parasites living in a land vertebrate in Asia in the late Triassic period. So late Triassic is about 200 230 million years. It was published in the beginning of August in the journal PLOS One, PLOSONE. And so it's really cool. They mentioned that the coprolite that they found, they actually sliced it, and then they found eggs from parasites that were actually in the fossilized poop. So I think that's really cool that we're able to just tell so much from what life would have been like 200 million years ago. But yeah, so we are getting close to 8 o'clock, which is 8 o'clock Central Time, I should say, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, which is the time that we usually get started. Our guest tonight is really cool. If you don't follow her on TikTok, make sure you do. She goes by the Miners Girl. Her name is Carolyn. She does all sorts of cool, searching in different mines and different things, and we will learn all about that tonight. So, welcome, Carolyn.
Hi, thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. So, I think I was mentioning to you earlier, I've been following you actually on TikTok for a while. But for those that don't, so you do a lot of, I guess, rock hounding and also old like videos where you go and you actually talk about some of the things that happens in mines and equipment and different things.
Yeah.
So how did you get started, or like how did you get interested in, I guess, like old abandoned mines?
Well, so it wasn't always all about the mines. It was really more about volcanoes. Like, I grew up being obsessed with volcanoes. Like, I wanted to be a volcanologist. I wanted to travel the world and study volcanoes and lava. And I went when I was a teenager to Kilauea, and my dad, against his better judgment, allowed me to walk over the bench, waved to me, told me to be safe, and I went out there and I got to see flowing lava for the first time in my whole life. And I just fell in love with geology at that point, and I became really obsessed with it. I had trouble in school passing the math and all that stuff, so I became a teacher instead. But my love and passion for geology never ceased to exist after that. And then I bought a Jeep and I just started traveling the desert looking at old abandoned mines. And I spent a bunch of time in Death Valley. I actually volunteered there. I was their teacher ranger, which is the person who writes the lesson plans for the field trip. So there's
Okay.
pre and post lesson plans for science that the teachers would use to help their students understand what they need to understand, so that when we go out into the field, they can grasp the concept and understand what they're looking at. So, like if we went out to Badwater, we would teach them about salts and
Okay.
just make the learning when they get there more meaningful. We also taught them about the wine glass canyons, things like that. And so I had loved that experience so much. I volunteered for 2 more summers after that, and I was very, very lucky and very fortunate to be able to travel around the park with the abandoned mine specialist, and he taught me so much about mining in Death Valley, mining in California, mining in Nevada, like all that stuff. And I fell in love with it. And I met a bunch of people that were really into mining, and eventually met an underground miner, and he taught me so much more. And his love for rocks and underground mining just enveloped my passion for the topic even more. So that's
So
kind of
we
how it all began.
so we did have a question kind of related to that. Joe was wondering, where are you? Because I know you do a lot in the Southwest.
Yeah. So right now I'm actually in Arizona. We are in Nevada. We just moved out of Utah, so we're moving around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. So, have you always been like a Southwest US like kind of person then?
Yes, yes. I'm originally from Los Angeles, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose there's not as much rock hounding to do in Los Angeles.
Actually, outside of Los Angeles, about 3 hours to I would say, northeast is a great area for rock hounding, like outside of Barstow. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of great stuff to find.
Yeah, I've actually been looking at that. I have a work conference coming up in the beginning of December in Las Vegas, and I'm taking a day and a half to go do rock hounding somewhere. So I've been trying to do some research and find some different places. And I found on Amazon, I don't remember who it was, but someone has like a rock hounding around Barstow, like field
Mhm.
guide or something. So yeah, yeah, I'm excited for that. I haven't done too much rock hounding in the Southwest, so it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be December, so it'll be like summer for me.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. There's going to be wind, but that's okay. It's not too bad. It's
Yeah.
like 50 degrees, so it's really easy to rock hound out there.
Yeah. So did you get more than into rock hounding like as you were older, or was it something that like
Yeah.
when you were a kid? Okay.
Yeah. It became a passion about, I would say, 4 years ago. I'd say I the miner Matt has a friend that he is very passionate about rock hounding, and he has taught me so many things. And his passion is just geology, and he actually has a couple of claims that he's allowed me to work on and kind of get the knowledge together and learn how to properly dig out these minerals. So
Nice. Nice. So what minerals are those then?
he actually, I have a specimen here.
Oh.
He actually has a travertine claim, and this actually we were able to use the acid bathing technique to melt. It kind of melts the calcite in it, and it
Yeah,
makes it
I
look
think I
white.
saw you did a TikTok video about that.
Yeah. So we use the muriatic acid with a little bit of water and just throw those specimens in, and it kind of melts it all together, makes it look really pretty, and it looks like it's been splashed with water. It's a really good, quick technique to make the minerals look really A plus right away.
Yeah, yeah, those I'm always surprised even like Lake Superior gets like people who use like an iron out bath and just it's just so crazy. Like if any like that's the one thing like I've seen a lot of people try to be like, how can I make my minerals look better? And like being able to learn how to use some of these cleaning techniques will help like them like tenfold just
Hmm.
how beautiful they are.
The little high pressure water gun, that's a great tool to get started with if you're just looking to clean some, crystals up, things like that. You don't have to go out and spend 2 grand on a cab machine to get started and start making your minerals look great. Like you don't, like, everybody thinks like they see that stuff and they're like, oh well, I really want to go full tilt and I want the Fordham and I want all of it. But you don't have to have all that. You can do it pretty reasonably.
Yeah, I think you're talking about I think they call them spot cleaner guns because they're meant for like garment cleaning or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can
Yeah,
get them
I've got
like Amazon real cheap.
yeah, I bought one of those, and the other thing that's helped me a lot too, if you do a lot of like tumbling rocks and things, I found that like sometimes it can be hard to get make sure all the grit is off. And I bought an ultrasonic cleaner, and
That's great.
it's helped me a lot. The one thing you do have to worry about, I know some people have said that like if you've got a crystal that's got like a fracture in it because it's using sound waves to vibrate, you could possibly make it worse or crack it. But I haven't had any issues with that. I also haven't tried it at anything like that. But it is really nice. Like if you get little crevices and something soft like calcite, you could use that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of some of the different minerals, so you sent some photos.
Oh yeah.
Let me pull those up here. So, I guess like tell me about what were these two photos taken?
So that was in Central Nevada, the one on the left, and then the one on the right is at his friend's claim that he actually has a turquoise claim, and he allowed me to pick on it. And I had this, I just found this piece of turquoise, and I told Matt that I really wanted to learn to make earrings. And I was like, I don't want to buy any earrings. I want to make them myself. And so that was kind of, that right picture was like my, that was my quintessential, like, that was my first, I'm going to do this and this is the rock that I'm going to do it with. So it was really exciting.
Awesome. And then these are, I guess, is the what's on the left? Is that
Yeah,
like Chris Cola
it
or
is.
Azurite?
It's chrysocolla with a little
Okay.
druzy quartz and garnet, actually, which is also Central Nevada. And on the right is also Central Nevada. That's a mica book that's shaped like a heart.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's really pretty.
It is so freaking cool. And then on the left here, we have pigeon blood, which is my new obsession. It is so easy. Unfortunately, with the pigeon blood, you've got the conchoidal fracturing. That's that weird, wavy, uh, uneven fracturing. So you can't just set it to the wheel. Um, oh, fascinated with turquoise my whole life too.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, so the pigeon blood, if you don't get bigger pieces, it makes it really difficult to cab, but it does take a good tumble to the right. And this is something that I'm truly passionate about sharing with people. Walk county roads, like walk the dirt roads, walk them, do it.
Yeah.
like, and the reason that I say do it because, the mine, the area that people used to get Tiffany stone from is shut down. Like you cannot get it. But I happened to be walking down just a random middle of the, uh, like everybody's out there dirt road, and it was in the middle of the dirt road.
Oh,
That
really?
I was having a really bad day too, and I picked it up and I threw it in my bag, and I was like, "I'm not collecting any rocks today. Like, this is it." I threw that one in my bag, and I asked Matt to cut it for me when I got home, and he's like, "You're never gonna believe this." I was like, "What is it?" So yeah, it was one of those rocks where you're like, wow, like it was just in the middle of the road, you know. Like people were driving past it, people were driving past me, and I'm like just walking down the road.
Yeah, yeah, those yeah, I always, tell people if they wanna look for, like, Lake Superior agates, I always say, gravel roads are really great.
Hmm.
Even, like, just going down trails, I've found agates and different things that, someone's footstep will be right next to it, and it's someone either wasn't paying attention, didn't know what they were looking for, and, you never know, even if someone's been there before, you can still find, some great things.
Yeah. So the one on the left, I've been quite blessed. One of the mines that we had made friends with the owner, they allowed us. A lot of my videos actually took place in that mine. So if you see me in a mine digging on the aragonite or the gypsum horns. That specimen there to the left, that Utah, came from that mine. That's malachite. But they had recently done some road work and ripped up the road, and I was like, I'm going. I want to see all this stuff. And so I was able to pull out some really good pieces that took a really good polish. And to the right, we've got some more pigeon blood. I make the earrings. That's my obsession.
Yeah, those are great, and then I think this was the last one. Is that, a
Yeah, that's
Chalcedony rose or
no, that's a gypsum horn, actually. That's out of
Oh,
the mine
okay.
that we were invited into, and they allowed us to, rockhound in there, and it's actually they call it the Crystal Cave, and it's a cave inside of a mine, if that makes sense. So they
Okay.
have mined all the way to a natural cave. And so that natural cave was made of aragonite. And it was really, really cool because the miners that had originally mined that area used their carbide lamps to write on the walls. And it's such a cool, cool thing. Yes, it looks like the ram's horn. Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of, the carbide lamps, I think you actually sent a video, that mentions that. Let's watch that video right now. Oh,
The miners would use their lamp graffiti artists back then, but they hadn't invented spray paint yet. So the miners would use their lamp right on the ribs. That's they call the walls in the mine. Ribs. See how it writes on that box? Yeah. So they would paint pictures and write their name and the date.
so
Yeah. So
that's yeah, that's really cool. So who was that in the video then that was describing that?
that is Lyle, and he actually works in the museum there in Eureka, Utah. I actually
Okay.
became very good friends with him. I began working in that same museum and part of the Tintic Historical Society, and I got the pleasure of like really just learning so much from him. He had worked in a mine as well, and he had a lot of great knowledge of the area, and the stories that he just tells are incredible. And I just feel so grateful to have met him and learned so much. And just the way he tells them is like nothing else. So
So what have you so I have you mostly looked at like abandoned mines then in the Southwest, I'm guessing?
yeah.
So I know like with the arid like climate they can last for like a long period. So I guess like what are like some of the like really interesting or unique things that you have found while searching like abandoned mines?
We have seen some really cool stuff, specifically well, in you're in that Mammoth area. They have some really cool. The largest steel head frame this side of the Mississippi is up there, and so that's actually it's private land now, so it's not. I don't know the owners anymore, but that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in all of the places that I've explored. Um, but yeah, I've come across some really cool minerals inside of these mines, but I do like to tell the cautionary tale of exploring abandoned mines. We have not just a 4 gas meter, but we have a Geiger counter that we take in these places.
Okay.
Uh, a lot of these old mines can hold radon, and so you have to be really careful when you get in there. It might the gas meter might not be going off, but the Geiger counter is definitely sending it to the ceiling. So you got to know when you need to turn around. And there's been a couple of times that we've been in there, and I saw some high ratings that I wasn't really interested in sticking around to see. So we turned to burn. But yeah, that's one of the things that we're really we find very important in what we do.
Yeah, so I guess besides like monitoring, like being safe and monitoring the environment, like if someone wanted to, I guess like even like find like how would they find like these abandoned mines or like what advice would you give to someone that's like, this is awesome, I want to try to, go out and search these.
So a lot of them are getting shut down. Honestly, they are getting barred off. But I generally just reading topographical maps and trying it out, hiking it out. Go up there, look at it, see if it's okay. I have the benefit of living with an underground miner. He calls it if he's not interested in doing it. We turn around and leave. If he So I'm very lucky like that. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily have that same knowledge. Also, in the same respect with the mine that we had visited frequently in Mammoth, same deal. They all worked in the mine. They knew the ground. They knew what was safe, what wasn't safe. They helped us understand what we needed to look for and how to be safe there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking through some of the questions. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please leave them in the chat. Um, yeah, as Vicky mentioned, we are talking about the spot cleaning gun. They're great. Just be careful you don't put your finger too close to the stream. That does come out very hard and fast, and that can hurt. Um, yeah, and Stacy mentioned too that she cleans her agates in Mississippi with citric acid and iron out. So yes, those are very cool, very nice things to use for cleaning certain rocks.
Even vinegar, like, you can even use
Yes,
like, if you're scared of chemicals, you're not ready to go with the, what do you call it? Like, the muriatic acid, like, because that can be very daunting, like, you can have, some problems with it. Just start with vinegar.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a great
I
start.
Yeah, I actually, because now that I have a house, I've been starting to make like rock cleaning, like stations and areas and things. And the one thing that I was like, I can finally buy and feel like I can use safely are like some of the big acids, sulfamic acid, muriatic acid. And I will say I did buy from like, it was like a contractor warehouse thing, but I got a half face respirator as well, since if I
Mhm.
do ever decide to do anything indoors with that, the fumes can be really bad. I do work with a lot of dangerous fumes for my work with environmental things, so I do actually have like a full face if I want to be like super safe with it. But yeah, always make sure if you're using acids, well ventilated areas. The one thing to remember from chemistry class is to always add acid, because if you add water to an acid, it can splash. I know I've seen like in your videos, you'll even like
Yeah.
you'll mention too about like splashing, like that's one of the very important things to remember. Is all that. We do
And
have
double container too, double up the container in case it becomes like Vesuvius. Like you want to make sure that it's covered, and you don't spill that into your house or your backyard or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just be careful too, because sometimes you never know how something's going to react to an acid. I actually had a very interesting
Yeah.
experience. I was actually cleaning. I had some Thunder Bay amethyst, which has like the hematite inclusions in it, but it can also get a lot of like iron coating on the outside. And I was cleaning them in iron out, and I was trying to mix. I had powdered iron out, and I was trying to mix it, and I had used a Pyrex measuring cup. And I don't know what is in a Pyrex measuring cup, but whatever it is did not like the iron out, and it actually shattered in my hand as I was like stirring the solution with it. So, and I
Wow.
had no idea. I just figured it was glass, but they must have some chemical in it that reacted with the iron out. So,
Well, that's a
yeah,
good
so
tip.
yeah, yeah. So always be careful with that. So, and then too, like with minerals, if you're ever not sure how it's going to react with the acid, always take one that you might not care about. Test it on that. Those are always good. We do have. I want to shout out to the Mineral Monsters. They
Oh,
were wondering if you ever
thanks.
do any like guided trips.
I have not. I have not thought about that. I kind of, I don't know. I hate saying this, but it's more like I have a spur of the moment. We're doing it. Let's get on the road. Let's get out of here. Let's go camping. Let's go find it. Like it always kind of just happens that way. But I'm not opposed to it. I mean, it might be fun to kind of get a group together and hang out and go find some good stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I do know. I believe the Mineral Monsters are in Arizona.
they are
So
in Arizona, South Arizona.
yeah, maybe there's a collaboration coming up there.
Maybe we need
Um,
to collab. Yeah, yeah, totally. I love it.
yeah. And then we did have Vicky mentioned on talking about iron out. She says to use distilled water. She said she's had some chemical reactions. I do know if you are using iron out, make sure it is dissolved all of the way. I have seen people pull agates and different things out that will have a black coating on them because they don't have the iron out dissolved all the way. So, yeah, these are great tips
That
coming
is a good
through
tip.
too.
I like that
Yeah,
one.
so yeah, and I did see you had a video where you mentioned someone I guess had said something about like I don't know if they like had accused you of like doing the TikTok stuff like as your job or something, but you mentioned like you and your partner like you're full-time working, like this is what you like to do like on like your your free time or whatever. So like it kind of got me thinking too, like so is it like almost every weekend then that you are out doing your
Yeah,
adventures?
yeah, yeah. So we don't have kids,
Yeah.
and our dog just unfortunately passed away. But yeah, we have a lot of free time on the weekend. So when he's off, we hit the road and we like to go find it, whether it's locally or whether it's something I've read a USGS report about. Like we'll hit the road, and I try to do it as often as I can. It's actually and I I love to tell people, like, I used to do this as hiking for mental health. Like, I needed to
Oh,
get
okay.
out to just walk and walk and walk off the negative energy, just walk. And now it's turned into a productive mental health kind of I need to get outside. I need to feel the sunshine on my face. Especially when we were in Utah, like, it was really hard. Like, the winter was like being from LA, I never experienced real winter before. So
Oh.
there was snow on the ground, and I was like, "So what are we gonna like? Is this gonna melt quick, or like what are we doing?" And it was like, no sun, snow everywhere. So it was like really rough on me. And I kind of had to learn to deal with that. And that's where I picked up a lot more of my cleaning and, polishing and doing those kinds of things. But yeah, getting out every weekend is good for my mental health. And that's what we do. We love the sunshine. We love, driving through the desert. We even like to look for wildlife sometimes, just looking around for snakes or whatever's out there.
Yeah, that's the one thing I always like. It always takes me away. Like sometimes, like I was just in Montana about a month ago in the Badlands of Terry, and just like you run across deer and coyotes and like all sorts of just like cool things that like you usually don't see. So do you have like some favorite like areas then that you like go to like all the time, or are you very
Oh
much so like
man,
we've been there and like we need to go like somewhere new?
turn and burn. Yeah. So there are places, I call it a recon mission. So recon is where you go once, you check it out, you get a little sample, you see if it can do something, you can do something with it, cab it, whether it's a specimen or anything. And then when you come back, uh then you really do your collecting. But I believe in recon so much because you can get out there and like everyone's talked about it. Everyone's told you this is where you got to get the agates. This is where you got to go. And then you get out there and you're like, I found nothing. I saw nothing. I found absolutely nothing. And that has happened to me. I have been a victim of that. And I decided that I will go out, I will read the USGS reports, I will go out, I will look, I will wander around and find the places, pop the coordinates in, look for the stuff, and then come back, drag drag the miner with me, and we go find the
Yeah.
real stuff. We do the real mission. So I-70, man, like Utah, straight through the middle, Moab, Yellow Cat, Petwood. Oh yeah, like the poison strip,
Yeah, that
major,
sounds.
majorly cool stuff.
Yeah,
That's where
I
the
was.
Floy is, where the pigeon blood is too. All that pigeon blood
Oh,
is Floy, and that's about that's about a half hour out of Green River, which is off of I-70, south of I-70.
okay. Yeah, I've been in Utah quite a bit, but it's been like so many years. Like I did actually as part of like my geology field camp, we actually went to Dinosaur National Monument and Arches and a whole bunch of stuff. And it's one of those places where I'm like, I really need to go.
Yeah,
I think actually, I know I talked about with Minnesota Mineral Club. Someone's actually talking about doing a trip to Utah next year. So I'm hoping that might happen. I can go because I know like some people have talked about like dugway geodes and like a whole bunch of stuff. And I mean, just the whole Southwest in general. It's like you can just almost go down any random road and find stuff. It's crazy.
it is.
So
I love that about Utah. Like you can literally just like show up and be like, I did zero research, but here we are, and you can find like good stuff.
yeah, so I guess kind of on that same note, so you mentioned the USGS reports.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're like searching for that, like what is it? Do you just like search like online like USGS and then like an area, or like
Yeah.
how do you do that?
I searched the mountain range. I like
Okay.
literally Googled mountain range USGS report, and then I start combing through keywords. I use the word abundant because there are a lot of reports that have small amounts of copper minerals and just different like little tiny things that are not like worth our moments of travel. But then there are amazing things, and when it says abundant, that's when we know it's worth the jam.
Right, right. Yeah, and I guess like the one thing too, like I've noticed, like looking back at like some of those reports, is like even if you find a report from like sometimes like the 30s or 40s or
Oh
like
yeah,
whatever, like the rocks haven't moved, they're still there. So even if you find something that's old that someone was talked about, like they're still there. So
they're still there
um
and they're still available.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they're cleaned up. And so that's the other side of doing that. So you want to look up your coordinates and you want to look up your claims and you want to make sure that they're not currently claimed. And so you can do that on the oh gosh, there's a website for through the BLM that has the claim data, and you would look up that and it would give you the area. It's actually kind of cool because it has like hatching on there, and you can see the area that's been claimed. So
Oh, okay. Great. So we did have another question from the Mineral Monsters. They did ask, you seem really chill, but have you had any scares out in the mines?
I mean, it really depends on what kind of scares you're talking about. I mean, we did go into on the border of Nevada and Utah. There was a mine where we had walked in, and we were pretty far back there. And there was the Geiger counter kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and it was making me increasingly nervous. I don't know if it's just the beeping that the beeping makes me
Oh,
it
yeah.
amps me up a little bit more because the amount of beeps get closer together and louder on that machine, on that particular Geiger counter. I did get that from the Full Modern Alchemist. He's on TikTok and he is obsessed with minerals that scream. We say scream.
Yeah, yeah, there's a Reddit group called Radioactive. I think is it Radioactive Minerals? I can't remember. But I followed some of it, and I know people joke and call them spicy rocks, but
Spicy.
it's I I have a few that they I don't even know how much they really even register on a Geiger counter. I did just buy one, but I know most of my stuff is all safe, especially behind glass. But I've seen some of these people that they talk about these radioactive minerals that they have, and they mention how they have to keep them in a metal box in a
Yeah,
shed. And I'm
the
like,
lead
what?
box.
You can't even look at them like they're that like, oh,
Like,
it's
what's
just
the point?
crazy.
What's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
have you found any like interesting wildlife then? Like I know like some people like I saw like I don't know if it was a TikTok or some video that someone was like going to go into like a cave or a mine or something and they saw like cougar footprints. Like have you ever seen like anything like crazy like that?
I have seen some footprints, but I've never experienced any like live animals in there. I mean, there's a ton in the Southwest of these like pack rats and stuff like that. You will run into your occasional snake. My good friend was going down a ladder out in Mojave, and he was on the last rung and there was a rattler that was waking up. And so you want to be careful of if you're going to explore mines. That's one of those things that you've got to commit to and just say, you know what, these are the things that can happen. And that snakes are one of them. uh, but really, I haven't seen anything that has scared the heck out of me so bad I've like ran out of a mine. I've never ran out of a mine. Definitely not done that.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably a little more brave than I am in some respects. I like to tell people a story. So I was working actually at an abandoned facility in Minnesota. This is before I actually had moved back to Minnesota. And as a little bit of background, earlier in the week, we had found a homeless person or unhoused person living in the woods, and we had to get them to move. And then I kept seeing them, and then my other coworkers had gone away, and I was there by myself. And I actually had to sample and do some work inside of the building, which was abandoned, and half the lights didn't work. And so I'm in there by myself, and I had seen this guy kind of walking around, and I was like really nervous. And they had like this trash compactor up against a loading dock, and there was like a door that goes outside, and I kept hearing a noise. And I was like, what the heck is that? And it's like across the room. And I was like, and I kept hearing it again. And I was like, there's something moving around over there. And I like finally like grabbed some lights and like went over there and looked. And there was a litter of kittens and they were playing. And I was like, I like nearly like fainted because I'm like, someone's trying to break into the door. I can hear all this noise, and it's these like kittens playing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you never like your brain starts playing tricks on you when you start hearing things in dark areas.
You know what's funny is the miner. And when I first met him, Matt was very, very adamant. He said to me, because like when he's out working,
Yeah.
I'm out and I'm looking for rocks. I'm hiking. I'm doing every canyon I can. I'm looking for stuff, anything. And he's like, I need you to make a commitment to me. And I was like, what? And he's like, that you won't go in the mines alone anymore. I was like, okay, this is really hard. So I was like, I when we first made the promise, I stood on the outside of the mines and I'd be like looking at it and be like, well, I guess I'll have to check back later. But it was like such a like disheartening thing. But I truly understand like why, he was so obsessed with, because I mean, it's not always going to be a litter of kittens. We have a lot of
Right.
mountain lions and bobcats, especially like in the Southwest, and that is a situation that you could definitely run into. Rattlesnakes are really not the only thing. So the other thing is that some of these mines have water, and the
Oh,
water with the bad air combined can create bad gas, and you wouldn't know it. And there have been stories of people who have dropped over and deceased because of coming into contact with water, still water in mines. So,
wow. Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
so so lots of dangers. So have you like gone into mines then, and like I guess like for like the minerals, like do you always like know then like what minerals like they were mining and what to expect, or do you sometimes I guess like find stuff that you're not expecting?
yes, yes, of course. Yeah, we do. We do find some cool things that we're not expecting. But generally speaking, it's like, a lot of these mines out here are hard rock mines. So copper,
Okay.
silver, gold, those kinds of mines. We try to stay out of anything that's radioactive. So like beryllium. There's a couple out in the West Desert of Utah that are beryllium, uranium, those kinds of things. And no way. Not a chance
Yeah.
on the planet. So even if it looks really cool. So
So are there like I guess like I for when I like go near mines, like I've never like seen like adits or anything of like spaces I can usually go into, but I've usually looked through like the mine tailings. Do you do a lot then to like go through the mine tailings first, or like how do you approach that?
yeah, we'll look at the mine tailings every now and again. Um, Generally speaking, that's kind of a good spot to start, especially if you're concerned about going into a mine. I like going into mines because it's a sense of thrill and enjoyment. I like when I see a ladder, it just it sends me to the moon. I'm like, a ladder. How many more are there? But it's we'll start with tailings, generally speaking, and we found some really cool stuff, especially up there in Mammoth. Like I was combing the tailings all the time. I found smithsonite, smithsonite is kind of akin to calcite. It's got that green kind of a tinge to it, and it does glow under the UV light. So
Yeah,
that
yeah, I've got some.
that
I'm trying to remember where it's from. It is from, I don't know if it's from the US or Mexico, but it's from somewhere down south. And yeah, you can get some really amazing UV fluorescence from it. So,
mhm.
so you did send one other video of one of your finds. I'm not sure exactly what it is, so let's take a look.
That might be the Tiffany. Yeah, that's the Tiffany stone
Oh, it is. So
that
this
I
was the one
found.
that,
That was the one I found in the road. That's why I was telling people, like, you just got to go out there and walk roads, man. Like, especially if they're using the grater on it. After they've scraped it, it's the best way to find that stuff. That's just water. I haven't polished it yet. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to touch it because it's such a cool specimen. But yeah, so I haven't done anything, but yeah, just the water there.
So was that like a county road, or was this like a road to a mine
Yeah.
that you were
No,
going
it was like
down?
a county road. Like people drive their side by sides, their Jeeps, all that stuff up there. It's like literally it's a paved road that ends and then it just becomes a dirt road into just, out in the West Desert. And that's what I was doing. Just walking around, looking for anything.
Yeah.
So we found topaz out there right in the middle of the road too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
yeah, it's kind of crazy too. I just saw we had Zeke Holder who has the Cherokee Ruby mine in North Carolina. And he mentioned on the show, people will find rubies in the parking lot. And he just posted someone found it was like an 11.8 carat ruby in the
oh my
parking lot.
gosh.
Yeah, and
That is
it's like,
awesome. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. That's such a
yeah.
find.
Yeah, yeah, and
Super
it's just like, oh my gosh, like, like some of these, like even like going to any of these other like, pay to dig kind of places, and people
mhm.
always just bypass the parking lots or whatever. Or like I know too, like I was going in Montana, I was going to look for Bear Canyon agates. And everyone's like, we're gonna go up the canyon and we're gonna look. And we get out of the cars and we're kind of getting a group together and we start walking, and we walked, I don't know, 20 feet from the parking lot. And I looked down and I was like, oh, and I found one. Like, you just never know. Like, it's always be looking, always like just keep your eyes down. Like, yeah, you never know what you're gonna find.
And you know what I always tell people? After it rains is the best time to go. After it rains, because there is a place called Sunstone Knoll, and that's out it's south of Delta, Utah. And it is a great little spot, especially if you have kids. Like it's right off the highway. You don't even need like four-wheel drive or anything. Like you could literally drive your Honda Civic up to this spot and just get
Oh, nice.
handfuls of this sunstone. Now they're not like the Oregon sunstones that are like ooh ah like everybody wants. Like I'm dying to go to Oregon to get Oregon sunstones because they're like incredible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But they are like a really cool little specimen to have. Like I just like to. It's another one of those mental health trips where you just go out there and you just walk around and like pick up your little stones, and it's just so easy to do. So it's one of those spots.
Yeah, so I guess kind of with like the collecting then. So you like we saw photos like you make like some jewelry and things like, I guess, do you have like huge display cases then of like all of your minerals, or like what do you do after you collect them? Do you have like rock gardens?
I do. I've been creating the rock gardens actually a lot. Now in our new property, we have copious amounts of space where I'm trying to create. I want to do a labyrinth, which is like the ones where you can walk, and I'm kind of dying to do the maze in my own backyard, and so I want to use all my rocks that I found and make my own maze so I can walk for my mental health. But I love making jewelry, but you know what my passion is to give it to people. I really really love just giving it away to my friends because my friends are always like, "Oh, I love that so much," and so I really enjoy like. Just blessing somebody with a pair of earrings or a pendant that they liked or something like that, and it's good practice for me. And it's after work, I'm a online teacher, so I work from my house. And so after I'm done and I, turn off my laptop, I'll head out to my garage and put on my headphones and just polish some stones for a while. And I make the earrings and the pendants, and I'll make little polished specimen pieces. So
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm hoping now that I finally have a house, I can start eventually get a saw and just start making jewelry. I did do a like a lapidary class. It was more for like Lake Superior agates, and I was like able to polish and make some jewelry and stuff. And it's something too that like I just also can see the like calming aspect of it, of just being able to sit like behind a wheel or a saw and just like work on it. And then two, like just also being able to see like something that might look ugly, and then you picked it up and saw the potential, and then all of a sudden, like the Tiffany stone where it's like, oh wow, like it's so different.
it was blah on the outside, but I saw the dendrites. So you see, and as you grow in this hobby of rock hounding, you start to pick up on little things like dendrites and fluorite and agates, and you kind of start to lock on to that. And whenever you're out, whether it's like A plus high grade, like amazing stuff, or it's low end, like you kind of get that knowledge base. And when you pick up a rock, you see the potential, and recently we were out on the California Nevada border, and I found some dendritic opal. And I always am looking for something that has dendrites that will polish, because a lot of those dendrites just fly right off. Like, you put
Yeah.
it on the grinder, and it's those little fern like leaves are gone, and it's just so disheartening. But this took a great polish, and I just really love that. And so I was able to find some of that, and do that recently as well.
Have you gone up to Montana and then gotten any of the Montana agates? Because they've got
I
some amazing
have
dendrites.
not. I have not. I have my very good friends. They actually had gotten some, and they brought some back to me. I'm so blessed to have them in my life. But yeah, they're our very best rock hounding friends. We always go out and camp and do all the stuff. And they were heading up to Montana. I was like, "You're gonna get those agates. So we got to do a trip up there. I'm dying to do it." I also want to get up there and go to that sapphire mine. I see people doing that fee dig up there, and that's just incredible too.
Yeah, yeah, we just had, I know people from our mineral club, they just went. There was sapphires, and I believe there were also garnets. There's some garnets that you can do up there. But yeah, and Montana's so amazing because I've done a couple times. I've gone up into the mountains, just like trying to find stuff and look at old mine tailings and different things. And there's so much, mining history in Montana.
Oh,
It's
Butte is
it's
incredible.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Butte. Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Butte. Well, yeah, Butte's got its own, different story too. Yeah, because being going from like the richest hill on earth to probably one of the most polluted,
Yeah.
holes on earth. But
Berkeley. Yeah, Berkeley
yeah,
pit. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just trying to catch up here. Hi, Suze. Looking at some of the comments here. Um, Let's see. Vicky says, just thinking about this weekend, I once was told good luck is experience meeting opportunities, how it has taken experience to maximize opportunities. Yes. Yeah. I will say too, like, some people think like certain rock hounds are really lucky because they find like some really amazing things. And just putting in that experience and having the opportunities and getting out there, like, that's how you get luck. Like, you make your own luck, I guess.
That, and it takes time. Like, I didn't get like this overnight. This wasn't something that just all of a sudden I was like, I got all the best rocks. Like, it wasn't like that. I found a lot of like just kind of whatever quartz, chalcedony, just like I actually just found my little bucket of things that I'd picked up when I first started doing this, and I was like, "This is so blah." But Matt was like, "You really have to keep that, because that shows you like the development of like where you were and like where you are now, and like that's an important feature in this hobby, and I can't stress it enough to new like beginning rock hounds, that you're not going to find it all right away, and it's not as easy as it may look, but it just takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess kind of with that too, like, is there any like mineral or place that you have that you're like, I really want to go and collect this or see this?
Oh gosh, where do I begin? All of it. All of it. I want all of it. I like I said, I really want to get up to the Sunstones, but
Oh,
annually
yeah.
we go up to Virgin Valley, and we collect the opals. And the opals are absolutely my favorite. That is my birthstone. But the fire opals, I have been very, very lucky. We get the load. So we go to Rainbow Ridge and we get the load, and they throw it on the table, and you spend the whole day. You have 8 hours to dig through all of the load. And you bring your buckets of water and you just start digging, and you go through the tailings, and you look through, and I found black opal. I was actually really, and
Wow.
mine I was actually I found a ghost, a black opal with a ghost in it. So I was like, no way. Like, it was one of those, like, I'm like jumping around, like yelling, I got the thing. So that's one of my favorite just things to do. It's a great campground. That's there's ponds up there.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I did do a trip up because we went to the Royal Peacock,
okay.
and
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
was, yeah, I got really lucky and I found it's got the ghost or phantom. It doesn't have any fire in it, but yeah, those are amazing. Yeah, and if anyone is interested too in hearing more about the Virgin Valley, we did actually interview the owner of the Royal Peacock a couple episodes ago. So make sure you go back and listen to that. But yeah, opals. Yeah, I know too. There's I guess is it Spencer, Idaho has opals, and then I
Yeah.
believe in Oregon too they've got like orange opals as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot
those.
of opal spots in that northern kind of western part in the US. And it's great because, Australia has their boulder opal, but we have fire opal, which is a little different. So that's one of my spots that I just really love going. But yeah, there's just so many places. It fills my brain every day, and I make my lists, and I try to seek out what I want to do next. I'm really wanting to go back up to Tonopah. I kind of also want to do one of those turquoise feed digs up there
Oh
with the Audison claim.
yeah,
And
yeah. I saw that when I was trying to look at possible things to do from Las Vegas. And I thought about it, but I think because it's like a 3 hour drive from Vegas or something, and I was
yeah,
like, it's a little bit far to do that for a day because then you're talking 6 hours of driving. So I figure I'll put it on my list for next time I'm going through Nevada.
put on your list Garnet Hill. Garnet Hill
Okay.
is so great. Like, I have found some incredible, just large garnets out there, especially after all of the winters that we've had recently. There's some great specimens coming out of there, and just so easy to look for too. Like, you get into those gullies and you just kind of dive down in there and you just start walking the gullies, and they're just everywhere. And it's also a beautiful place to camp right out of Ruth, Nevada, which the big town would be Ely,
Oh,
Nevada.
okay.
Yeah, it's about I would say like maybe 4 hours out of Salt Lake if you were to go straight across, or it's
Okay.
about 5 hours north out of Las Vegas.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm like already like, okay, so next summer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a spot that you definitely want to get to in the summer. It's high altitude, so it's easier to camp up there, and there's a lot of great mining history in Ely as well. They have the railroad up there. You could take the little trip around that area as well on the train. So.
Nice. And so, and I believe, speaking about history and everything, you had mentioned that you worked or are working with a museum. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So I worked with the Tintic Mining Museum. They're in Eureka, Utah. It consists of two buildings. So the one building was the train depot that they moved there in the 70s, and then the other was the original county. It was like a sheriff's office and fire station. Um, and that I was kind of working to make it a mining museum and a separate Eureka Museum, separated. They were all kind of combined. But yeah, I did work with the Tintic Historical Society for quite some time. And I learned a lot from them. They're amazing people, just so dedicated and awesome.
So, if people are trying to find out more about like mining history, I guess like in general or their area, like are there any like resources that you would recommend?
So yeah, Utah actually had like one Utah was so different than any of the other states that I had been to. Utah really enjoys preserving their own history, which is incredible. So there is literally a museum in almost every town. In in Utah, and I am one of those people that will run to each museum because I just enjoy the history. But I really don't have much. I just kind of Google it and see if there's. I'll do the town and I'll put mining museum or mining and see what comes up. And generally speaking, across the Southwest, you will find quite a bit of it. Tonopah is one of the huge mining areas in central Nevada. Also, if you're out of Reno, Nevada, they have it's not just mining, but it is also their incredible mineral displays, the McKay School of Mines, and that is out of UNR. So, and they just cool stuff. It's all mining, but they also have a whole floor dedicated to just minerals. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and I will say too, your channel on TikTok has had a lot of, like, I guess just different people and just like a ton of information about like just different equipment and I guess like kind of like just how mines work, which has been like really cool. Like has there been any equipment that you've seen that has like just blown you away from like some abandoned mine?
I have seen quite a bit of equipment. A lot of it gets snagged by people and they take it or whatever. So there is a lot of that. But I have seen a lot of equipment just because of going to these museums and even people having it in their yards. But my favorite is that 12B mucker. I just I have like a weird obsession with it, and it is so fun. I actually, so Park City has the mining days. They have like a mining festival, and because Park City was actually built on mining and not skiing like everybody thinks. So their original
Yeah.
boom was the silver boom, but they had a demonstration of the 12B there in Park City during their festival last year that I got to see, and it was super cool. Matt, he has run quite a few of these pieces of equipment, so when we come upon it, he'll try to show me how it works. And even down here in Jerome, Arizona, they have quite a bit of mining equipment out there that's pretty cool. So if people want to see that, that's a great spot to stop too. Jerome's a fun little town as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't found, any like crazy big like abandoned, equipment or, or cars or like anything cool like that, but I always think like it's just really interesting. Like I did back in May, we were at some of the old copper tailings in the Upper Peninsula, of Michigan, and like going through and knowing that like okay, they stopped operation before the 1900s and finding like
That's
steel
incredible.
nails and like I found like a shovel head and like stuff like that and just thinking like someone was using this like over 100 years ago and then now I like find it like yeah just like that I guess like connection to the history is just
It
crazy.
is. It is. It's hard to like. I always try to stand there and like picture it because, like in Death Valley, I've hiked to different mines, and the aerial tramway system is still there. I actually found one out in on the border of Arizona, Nevada, and California. I found an aerial tramway system as well, and that always fascinates me because it reminds me of like a ride, like Magic Mountain. Like you get on and then you get off and it's like you can see for miles, and the fact that these people did that without a modern car or a truck or any of the equipment that you see now, like you go to Bingham Canyon and they've got these giant haul trucks just hauling tons of ore out of there. And the fact that these guys are doing that in the 1900s and still making it happen is just it's incredible. So,
Yeah. Well, we are coming up at the end of an hour. Thank you again for your time. This was a lot of fun. I'm sad Amber couldn't be here. So hopefully she will be feeling better soon. So you are, I think, are you only on TikTok or are you on
yeah,
other
for the
places?
primary, I do have a YouTube as well. I'm the Miners Girl Minerals on Instagram. Those are primarily the only three that I do. I've been trying to update YouTube a little more, but TikTok seems to be the sweet place where I've made the connections with all the rockhounders, and I just love the community there. Like everybody's like, "Oh, that's rad! I gotta go!" Like, and it's so fun to like see what other people are getting, and I'm like, that's just and the algorithm just mixes you in with everybody that's like looking for good stuff. So it's a fun place to be for me. And so that's why I put so much energy into it, because I've gotten a lot of energy back out of it. So
Awesome. Yeah. So if you are interested in looking at some really cool rock hunting videos, abandoned mines, all that stuff, make sure to follow the Miners Girl on TikTok. And then looking ahead for us, we actually are doing our season finale in 2 weeks. October 4th on Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, we are going to have Dykenite. So speaking of TikTok, she is also on TikTok. She is known for doing what she calls gay geology. So you can probably guess by her username that she is on the queer side of science. And so we'll talk about a whole bunch of geology stuff, since she is also a geologist and does a whole bunch of research. I know, Carolyn, you mentioned volcanoes. She does a lot of research on volcanoes. So she's got some really cool photos of like volcanic eruptions in Iceland and things that we are going to talk about. So don't miss that. Again, that's going to be our season finale, and then we're going to be off for at least a couple, probably a few months. So tune in next Wednesday, October 4th. And then thank you again to Carolyn, also known as the Miners Girl, for stopping by.
thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this, and I love the rock hounding community because it's just such a welcoming place, and everyone just they want to help you, and that's in turn what I want to do too.
Yes, wonderful. I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you all later. Bye.